Aston Villa 2, Arsenal 1. Villa win it right at the death with literally the last kick of the match in a gut punch to Arsenal. Damn, I dislike losing games of football, but let's get into it. This is the Real Arsenal Deal podcast. Welcome back to the Real Arsenal Deal. This is Rav, as always, your host. How is everyone? Today, I'm recording this Sunday morning, first thing, out in the garden here in Melbourne, Australian time. It's not quite the same feeling, though, with Arsenal lose a match. And I believe that's our first league loss since August. It would be late August, right? Just before the first international break, losing it very, very late against Liverpool. And in similar circumstances, we've lost here, well, literally the last kick of the match, a mad scramble in injury time, deep into injury time in the box. Players going in everywhere, bodies flying left, right and centre. Literally this type of mad scramble, it's a toss of the coin, isn't it? It can go either way. We can put in 2 or 3 big body blocks and clear the ball, boot it out for a corner or a throw-in. And we know what happens with the Arsenal players. Look at each other. They celebrate like they've scored a goal, having kept Villa out. We know the scenes, right? And I would have been the same watching it at home on my iPad last night. And unfortunately, it didn't happen this time. The ball can literally go anywhere, and it's fallen to Emi Buendia, who, funnily enough, is a name I haven't really heard too much about the last few years. I remember 3 or 4 seasons ago, we were linked quite heavily with him. We ended up signing Odegaard, and I think it's fair to say we've made the right decision there. But he's a player just who I think I recall at the time, given he's Argentinian, has close relationship with Emi Martinez. Some Arsenal fans who were online a lot more than me were telling me that Aston Villa fans were quite joyous in that Martinez had talked him into signing them instead of Arsenal, and how it's representative of some kind of shift, I don't know, in terms of a destination club. Yes, it's funny enough, I hadn't really thought of that until now. I don't even know why I mention it, to be honest, but I'll check in with my Arsenal mates the next couple of days. Has that plot line resurfaced? And I guess winners are grinners, yeah. They probably deserved the victory overall. I'm not sure if Arsenal did, or maybe if you look at some of the stats, you see 9 shots on target. I don't recall the last time we've had 9 shots on target. Arsenal did quite well considering. Aston Villa played really well as well. They'd be pretty annoyed not to have gone ahead earlier on than when they did. They got their first goal around the 33rd minute. We'll come to that in a moment, because it's not a great moment for Eberezer. However, prior to that, Raya's been forced into a couple of key saves that were causing all sorts of problems down either flank with stretching our back line. Ollie Watkins, who I was convinced it was going to be 1-0. That was about, I think there was 8 or 9 minutes on the clock. He's twisted, turned around. Unfortunately, we were too easy to play through and get into those central areas. And as soon as the ball fell for him, I thought it was 1-0. He's rounded both centre halves, and I assumed 1-0 to Aston Villa. So that was a lucky let-off for Arsenal. Look, we grew into the match in the next few minutes. Anyway, we started to string some possession together. But what I will say is I had the warning signs very early on in this match. I think we all maybe sort of knew it coming in. With the amount of injuries, the news around Mosquera, 6 to 8 weeks is the indication that's been reported around him. And look, it's not a surprise to me. As soon as I saw that, I just sort of nodded my head and thought, yep, that's kind of what I anticipated, because it's just the way it works, isn't it? It's the way it goes with Arsenal. We have a host of forward players returning, and still some soon on the horizon to have it. Still a few weeks away. Jesus is back in the matchday squad. He wasn't here this time, but he's back on the fringes. He can hopefully play some minutes in the next fortnight, perhaps. Let's see. But then all of a sudden, that injury crisis that seems to happen in groups in areas of the pitch. All of a sudden, we're now 3 centre halves down. What can you really say other than, look, this is going to sound incredibly simplistic, I know, but I don't think we concede those goals with Saliba and Gabriel. I just don't. And I think the statistics show that. I think the stats prove that in terms of the opportunities that we allow, those central spaces, that Watkins goal I just mentioned a few minutes ago as well. Sorry, the Watkins shot on goal, I should say. I don't think that happens when you have Saliba and Gabriel commanding those central positions. It's all ifs and buts. I get it, and I don't want to come across as a sore loser or sour grapes or anything. I know I've been accused of that before. Clearly, I have an Arsenal-related bias, of course. However, I'd like to think I'm measured enough, balanced enough to perhaps call things as they are. I think Villa are a very good team. We played them in red-hot form. It seems to be the way, right? I mean, how nice it would have been. In fact, I was thinking that a moment ago too. I'd mentioned that Liverpool loss before as well. How nice it would be. I know it doesn't work this way, but if we could reverse the fixtures, wouldn't it have been great to have played Villa in that opening few matches when they were really struggling for form? And wouldn't it be great to play Liverpool now, when given what's happened to them since the opening matches of the season? But it doesn't work that way. You can't pick and choose that. I totally understand that. It's going to sound pretty silly, but this is the madness of football and just the randomness that it can just throw up. It's a very, very hectic schedule. The games are coming in thick and fast, and you can't really control when you play them. But had the situation been different, had we played them in the opening few matches of the season when we didn't have the injury crisis in defence that we do now, I'm confident we come away with a different result. Same thing against Villa, but ultimately it is what it is. Those are 2 losses, 0 points from 6. So it's not title derailing. It's not season derailing. We don't pack it all in now and collapse in a heap. And I certainly hope you're not doing that. I've got no doubt, though, that online, much the Arsenal fan base, I understand that segments of us are very loud and carry a lot of maybe emotional baggage, from the last few seasons, given how close we've come, but ultimately have not been able to get over the line. If you need to take a step away from that, by the way, I would recommend you do so. Just don't participate if you don't want to. You're more than welcome here, of course. And I hope this can give you a sense of balance and understanding, because it's really, really not season derailing. It's okay. It's only our second loss of the season. Historically, when you look at the Premier League winners over the last several years now, I think you end up with a common theme around 4 to 5 losses. I think is around probably around the maximum that you could absorb in terms of overall over 38 games of the season and still come out winners. Probably 4 to 5. So this is our second loss, and it's December. It's not all bad. It's okay. Sure, as much as it hurts and it stings, and it really stung me last night. It's about, it's 1:30 in the morning, and somehow I've got to compartmentalize that and somehow get back to sleep. And that stuff really stings. It hurts. It absolutely hurts. I mean, even that, I could sense my frustration when I walked to the bathroom afterwards after 1:30, and I'm brushing my teeth again, and I'm really forcefully brushing my teeth. I'm scrubbing because I'm annoyed, and that's how much is on the line for us as Arsenal fans. Like we're all in this. We're all in this season together. We sort of ride every tackle, every bump. When I see a player go down and they clutch their knee or something, I'm thinking, oh no, not again. It's just, there's a lot on the line. There's an edge to Arsenal, there's an edge to watching Arsenal, of course, as a fan base. Internally, I think it's very, very different. I think they will channel this in a very different way. Arteta's got he's got an underlying rage about him, which comes out in different shapes and forms, right? But we've been able to channel these emotions, these losses, really, really sort of take it as a motivating tool for the next phase, for the next match, for the next period. And I reckon there's a group of players there who were really stung by this. When that winning goal went in, you saw Arsenal players sink to their knees. I think Nketiah was slamming the turf. I mean, you see what it means to them, right? There's so much on the line for them. They gave it as much as they could, and I think they will use this. I think they will channel this internally and use this as a really powerful, motivating tool to propel us in the next few weeks. Nketiah, by the way, I thought he was fantastic. I thought he had a really, really good game. Probably Arsenal's standout. It wasn't a great effort it wasn't a great performance across the board. A few players I'll come to in a moment. Nketiah was certainly at the levels. He took on that senior leadership role, that mantle at the back. It's yet another new back four combination. In fact, let's talk about the lineup again. And now let's just get straight into that, because we fielded a new back four. So White, Timber and Nketiah centre halves, and Calafiori. It's just great. We've got the calibre of those players. But at some point, right, at some point you can't keep chopping and changing so many players. I mean, you need that defensive stability, that spine, and we've seen it. We've seen it, right? Like remember that phase about 2 months ago when we had what 8 or 9 clean sheets in a row. I mean, you look at the mainstays. Look at the through line. Who was playing consistently in those matches? It was Timber at right back. It was Saliba, Gabriel, Raya, of course, in goal, Calafiori at left back. So these relationships, they're priceless, they're invaluable, and that's what strings you together consistent performances. This is to take nothing away from the likes of Mosquera, Ben White, of course. I mean, it's great to see him back in the fold. Hincapié, they're all at the level yet, but it's you can absorb 1 or 2 changes, rotational changes throughout a match, or throughout match to match. But a whole new back four, we just stretched too far, I feel. Through midfield, it was great to see Declan Rice named. I had a feeling he would be. It was probably cramp or something. That's why he came off against Brentford a few days ago. We've got to watch that though, because there's little respite at the moment for the likes of Declan Rice. Zubimendi's played a lot of minutes too. Mikel Merino up forward, Eza to the left, Saka on the right, Odegaard started again. So just a couple of things that we just need to keep an eye on. That's 2 90-minute matches in the space of, 3 days for the likes of Ben White, Odegaard returning from injury. It's great to see, of course. It's great for them. We need them. And there's a lot of football to be shared. But the workload on the players at the moment, I mean, it's across the industry, right? It's across the entire sport. The schedule is unrelenting. And this time of year, it can just throw up these mad games, these mad moments that you can't really, I guess, prepare for or mitigate for. It's just one of those things now that this is the festive time of the season, and the matches are coming thick and fast. Thankfully, though, for Arsenal, in terms of the schedule, it just opens up a little bit now, which is very pleasing. With the players have, I think, 4.5, 5 days off. The next match is against Club Brugge Wednesday night UK time, and that's a really excellent opportunity given Arsenal's outstanding form so far in the Champions League. We should really be circling that match. It's a great opportunity to sit some players down. I'd like to see, at a minimum, Rice sit out that one. Saka can sit out. Marino can sit out. Right, we've got the players there on the bench who need the minutes. There's everyone from Norgard to Waneri, Gyökeres, maybe due to start perhaps some minutes off the bench for Jesus. We really should be looking at that match. And we've earned the right, by the way. We've earned the benefit having won every match so far and not conceded a goal in Europe. That we should be circling that match and to sit some players down and just refresh and rejuvenate the squad, because the next Premier League match is in a week's time against Wolves at home. But we must get back to winning ways in the Premier League. I mean, I'm stating the absolute obvious here, aren't I? We need 3 points against Wolves, and we should be. City won as well. I checked the results prior to stepping out to record this. So the lead at the top now is back to 2 points. City, they're grinding out wins that they should, that they've won 3 in a row, but they've conceded a lot of goals too. So I question how sustainable that is over the course of a Premier League season. So just, it's okay. I mean, do I feel great knowing they're only 2 points behind us? No, I'm not going to lie about that. Not whatsoever. However, when I look at the nature of the opponents that they've played and the amount of goals that they're conceding but still coming out on top, I think over the course of 38 games, I don't really see how you can win the Premier League sustaining that kind of form. And Arsenal have now ticked off another tough away fixture. This is the important thing that will just slip under the radar of the surface analysis, is that it sucks to lose. I'm not going to tell you how to feel about that, not whatsoever. However, when you look at the fixtures that we're ticking off, we've gone away to United, we've gone to Liverpool, to Newcastle, to Chelsea, now to Aston Villa. Off the top of my head, I'm probably forgetting some other key away fixtures, but in terms of that sort of top 8, 9 bracket in the Premier League, I think we've gone away to 5 or perhaps 6 of them already. Apologies if I've got that wrong, but the point I'm trying to make is that the fixtures eventually will just open up a little bit for us, and many of these teams still have to come to Arsenal, and many of our opponents still have to go elsewhere to these teams, such as Chelsea. I don't believe they've played any of these teams away as yet. So it's in that respect, it's okay. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and it's as much a mental marathon as it is a physical. We must keep composure, keep our I was about to say, use another word then, but we've got to keep our stuff together, right? Yeah, and let's let this spiral and derail and collapse in a heap. I would have loved a point, by the way, when I looked at the clock and we got to 93 minutes and Villa were pressing for an equaliser. I mean, Emery, he always loves to shaft Arsenal, and he's got plenty of history on that as well. You can see him really geeing up his plays from the sidelines. Cappier won a ball, and I think it just maybe a touch got away from him. It went for a throw in, and I was thinking, just boot that upfield, please. But you know, at that point, I would have taken the final whistle. I would have taken a point because it wouldn't have been a bad result to come away. The nature of this match, come away with a point, it would have been fine. But unfortunately, not to be. And I don't know what's worse. Does it make it worse losing in that manner, or had Villa gone ahead on to say the 75th minute and that they'd held us out from there? Is that better? I don't know. Actually, look, I don't know. Everyone's mileage would vary on that, but for me, it stings more to lose it like that. Just as much as we've been on the other end of it, right? Just a few months ago, remember Gabriel's winner against Newcastle. I've watched that 50 times since, and it gets me every time. It's great to win it like that, and it probably sucks just as much to lose it when you're on the other. I should cover just a few individuals now. I feel I don't want to go in on players or anything. I don't think this was a good match for Eberechi Eze on the left. I know he hasn't played there in quite some time because of the length of Odegaard's absences. Eze's played a lot more centrally and a bit more of a freer role, and he's performed at a much higher level. That goal, when he sees it on replay, it doesn't look great for him. He's watching Cash behind him. He can see him, but then unfortunately, when the pass is played, he fails to react. He fails to react in time, I should say. He's just a couple of steps behind, and that's the difference. That's the margin at this level. Cash gets away, and it's a very good shot on goal, and 1-0 to Villa. And I think I saw Eze immediately just put his head down into his knees, slammed the turf. Perhaps he knew. I thought we should probably make a change at halftime anyway. But perhaps that lack of defensive awareness was sealed the deal for him, for Arsenal. For Arteta to make that change at halftime. On came Trossard, and whatever Arteta said at halftime, it worked. We were fantastic in that opening few minutes of halftime. It was a very just different nature, a different beast to us. We seemed to be up for the fight as well. We started to call back a few physical duels, a few challenges. Speaking of which, look, I don't know how some of these challenges were fouls. I mean, Villa did seem to get away with a fair bit, and this is something Arsenal are just going to have to get used to. There's a physical nature to these matches, especially when we go away to places. Doesn't matter if it's a midday kickoff or a nighttime kickoff, the crowd just seems to be up for it. Arsenal are a big ticket in town. The players that we come across against, they step up and they relish the duels. They relish the physical battle. And speaking of relishing, Gabriel loves that stuff too. So does Saliba. I mean, we give as good as we get. But all of a sudden, when some of these players are missing, I think other players are feeling that they can get away with a bit more than what they'd otherwise be able to. And I think the referee just allowed a few too many fouls to go unchecked, unchallenged. It's a bit frustrating in that respect. But I don't want to make too much of that point. Saka's influence started to grow as well on the right. He was causing their fullback a fair bit of trouble. A couple of offsides cost us, I think, at key moments, which is a bit of a shame. We had a goal ruled out in the first half. For that, it was a clear offside. It's just he didn't time his run correctly. Odegaard was very good. What was interesting is his shot powers returning. He got a couple of clean strikes on goal that stung the palms of Martinez, who's always up for the Arsenal battle, by the way. Let's see. The other change we made at halftime was Gyökeres coming on for Merino. Merino looked very, very tired, which I understand, of course. He's basically played every minute, similar to what I was saying before. The likes of Declan Rice, we haven't really had the opportunity to refresh that too much. Gyökeres came on and look, I don't think it was a great game from Gyökeres. He contested very well. He's a physical beast, yes, and he gives us a powerful presence. It's just a bit of a throwback to earlier in the season when we were trying to integrate him and know when to time the pass, know when to play him in and see his runs. I don't believe he had many touches. Was it just a few touches in the 45 minutes he was on? I think most disappointingly for me was Rice, who was a warrior again this entire match. He's strung together a beautiful passage of play. He's hooked the ball in. He's laid it out into the box for a striker to run on and attack. And unfortunately, Gyökeres didn't. And look, maybe Madueke could have done better when the ball fell to him on the right. Could he have taken a touch, come back in on his left, perhaps? But I do believe that ball was aimed at Gyökeres, and unfortunately, he wasn't there. And then, unfortunately, at the other end, right at the last minute of the match, we lose it in the manner we do, and that's what stings. That's what hurts the most. Look, another thing to keep an eye on is just that bench as well, because for the first time in a little while, I've seen Marley Salmon back in the matchday squad. And with all due respect to him, of course, I know he's there as a number to fill out the bench, and how much we've seen this as Arsenal fans over the last season or two, when you start to see those academy youngsters filling out the positions, making up the numbers, so to speak. It speaks to the amount of injuries that we have in certain areas of the pitch. And it's just unfortunate. But this is the thing now. I think the major thing that's going to stop Arsenal from winning the Premier League is these injuries, because we have an excellent team. We have an excellent squad, of course, but you need your best players on the pitch. When we have our best players on the pitch for a consistent period of time, as we have shown and demonstrated, we are like a 9.5 out of 10 football team. We're elite. We've shown that. I don't think there can be too much dispute about that. When we don't have our best players on the pitch, sure, we don't come down to like a 4 or a 5 out of 10 team. I'm not saying that at all. But the margins are so fine that even coming down to a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10 football team, that's the difference. We're not vying for top 4. We're not trying to get from 8th position back into Europe like we were a few seasons ago. We are trying to climb the mountain from 2nd to 1st. And that's where you consistently need to be producing 9.5 out of 10 performances week after week, month after month, to lift those major trophies and the Premier League title in April, May next season. That's what we want to do, and that's what we are trying to achieve. Not having your best players on the pitch, unfortunately, can be the difference from those extra 6, 7, 8 points that make all the difference come the end of the season when they're handing out the medals. And that's my worry. That's my concern. At some point, these injuries are going to cost Arsenal. We've done remarkably well considering to be where we are, in spite of the volume of injuries we've had in the forward group and now in defence. But ultimately, this needs to change. And I'm really, really hoping now this next week or two provides the opportunity for the club to reintegrate some players, freshen things up, sit down the likes of Rice, Marino, and White, who are right in line for a next injury, touch wood. And we go again. So keep your head, everyone. Keep looking after yourselves. The players believe, and we should keep backing them. We should keep supporting them. I'm going to bring this one to a close. I know it's not a great, recording, and I might sound a bit more downbeat than usual. So please forgive me. I hope this has helped you a little bit. It can be hard to ask for people off the back of a loss to like and subscribe on YouTube, but if you could please consider doing so, that will be most appreciated. Please follow the show. Leave me a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. That too would be of great benefit to me. But ultimately, just look after yourselves. It'll be okay. I still believe we're going to bounce right back during the week and get back to winning ways. So on that note, I will sign off. Look after yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. And come on, Arsenal.